This is Townsquare Sunday. Healthcare remains a hot-button issue across the nation. On March 21st, the South Coast Chamber is holding a breakfast forum on healthcare. It's scheduled for the 21st, that we mentioned, 7:30 a.m. at Rachel's Lakesider on State Road in Dartmouth. Dr. Michael Rocha of Hawthorne Medical Associates, a leader in wellness initiatives here in Greater New Bedford, is one of the speakers, and he joins us here this morning. Dr. Rocha, welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jim. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What's the value of a bunch of business folks eating breakfast and listening to remarks about health care? What's the plan here? Is there a value?
Absolutely, because, business has a lot to add to the discussion. And, it's one of those topics that's always been very scary for business leaders to enter into the discussion about healthcare, health insurance. And, I think that obviously these businesses are paying health insurance for their employees, and they have more say than they may think they do.
Is this the start? I know you hope it's the start, but is this the start of a larger community discussion about healthcare?
Absolutely. We have to take a look and see how our community can be healthier, and healthcare is part of that discussion. Health is the other bigger part of that, and we have to make sure that that we're all participating in that. It is, in some ways, it continues to be the giant elephant in the room in almost every part of our lives, whether it's in government or in businesses or in healthcare or in the community. We really have to come together to really understand what's really making us well, what's costing us a lot of money, and how can we do better with the funds and the resources that we have to take better care of people.
Okay, again, the forum, March 21st, 7:30 a.m. at Rachel's Lakesider on State Road in Dartmouth. Now, of course, Chamber members, this is a Chamber event, South Coast Chamber, $30 for members, $45 for non-members. If you're interested in a table of 10, $300. But this is not a closed event for Chamber members. I think the public is also invited as well to some respect.
I would have to defer that to the South Coast Chamber in terms of how wide they're going to open that up. But hopefully, we really want to see a full room and a full discussion. And, this is a great opportunity, a stepping stone, so to speak, of what I think can be a bigger discussion.
Keynote speaker at the forum on March 21st is Dr. Michael Fine. He's the chief medical strategist for the mayor of Central Falls, Rhode Island, and he's a former director of the Rhode Island Department of Health. He's also written a book entitled Healthcare Revolt, which I did some research last night. It's now available on Amazon. Dr. Fine, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Thank you for having me.
Your book looks at healthcare in other countries, and as the description that I saw, it lays out really a kind of a roadmap for a better healthcare system. What other countries are doing a better job than what we're doing now?
Well, unfortunately, almost all. We spend about twice as much as the average of the other advanced countries, and our public health outcomes are nowhere near as good. So almost everybody does better than we do. And the countries that do the best are countries that make sure that all their citizens have primary care. Not just health insurance, but actually primary care. The nation of Finland turned itself around 40 years ago by making sure that they had one primary care center for every 10,000 people. And that's what other successful advanced countries do.
What are you going to tell these business people on the 21st? I think you heard me ask Dr. Rocha if there's any value in talking to business people. What's your feeling on that?
Well, the first thing I'm going to tell people is that the people in the city of New Bedford spend about $1 billion a year on health care. It's a number most people don't know. We spend as a nation an average of about $11,000 per person per year. And the best estimates from the most sophisticated experts think that about half of that, or something like $5,000 per person per year is unnecessary or wasted. But it's so much money. And so many people are invested in making sure that money continues to flow that it's going to take a whole community working together to change it, and to change it in a way that will not only make New Bedford healthier, but will make New Bedford more economically competitive.
I can tell you, we've got a gentleman in Dr. Rocha here who spends just about every waking minute figuring out how to make New Bedford healthier, with a lot of health initiatives for young and old. That's important, isn't it? We've all got a role to play.
It is critical. Dr. Rocha is nationally known. He's a hero. He does everything humanly possible on the health promotion side, and is better than anybody else that I know at doing it. But it can't be just Dr. Rocha alone. It takes the business community. It takes the church community. It takes every community, every part of the community of New Bedford working together to really get to a place that's healthiest and also has the most affordable health care.
And as I've mentioned, the rest of us have to do our part as well. I think individually, people have to take responsibility for being healthier, eating the right things, exercising and all that. And Dr. Rocha, I know you've championed that for a long time.
Yeah, I think that it has to be a mindset. It has to be a culture of health, living well from one end, from the youngest to the oldest, and from one end of the community to the other end of the community. And I think that when that does happen, and we have that kind of, it's going to have to come in some ways from a grassroots, and some grassroots initiatives. But I think that getting the business community to realize that they're part of this movement, and something that when we've talked to some of the business leaders, they're a little uncomfortable with the topic. So I think that this is going to be able to give them the opportunity to learn a little bit more from the other side, from us in healthcare, to try to help them understand what their role is.
Dr. Fine, you are now an advisor for the mayor of Central Falls, Rhode Island, on health issues. What can communities do better?
Well, in Central Falls, we've just opened the first neighborhood health station, first urban neighborhood health station in the United States. We've built a single clinical enterprise where we do primary care, urgent care, oral health and dental care, mental and behavioral health, emergency medical care, all in one place, and aim to take care of the entire population of the city of Central Falls. That's one thing I think cities can do better, bring services together and make them really accessible. Another thing cities can do better is really take the city infrastructure, city government infrastructure, and devote it, as Dr. Rocha said, to a culture of health. So that you want the Department of Parks and Recreation to be working as hard as it can, making sure that there are opportunities for exercise. You want folks in city government or around the city to be making sure there's access to healthy food, because in many communities, access to healthy food is actually quite a problem. You want the schools to be focused on helping kids make healthy choices and making sure that in schools there are opportunities for exercise, kind of like there used to be, but some of that's gotten sacrificed. There are a bunch of things that everyone can do together, and cities turn out to be the place that have the most leverage to really make places more healthy.
Dr. Fine, some of those things you've just mentioned, there are pockets of that happening in New Bedford. What we need is just more of all of it, I think. But there are small pockets of those kinds of things, like better food, farmers markets, those kinds of things happening in New Bedford. We just need to have more of it.
And that's the kind of thing that begins to happen when the business community gets together with city government and really puts the weight of of those institutions behind these kinds of changes.
Dr. Fine, I know you are pressed a bit for time, so thank you for joining us. Hopefully you'll enjoy your visit on the 21st.
Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're listening to Townsquare Sunday. I'm Jim Phillips, and I'm joined once again by Dr. Michael Rocha. Dr. Rocha, you've heard Dr. Fine. This forum is important, I think, as a starting point, and that's important as well. We have to start somewhere, and you've already started in a lot of ways. But with the business community, they're going to hear some things, I think, in this forum that they've never heard before.
Absolutely, and I think that this is not the idea is not for one and done. This is to really cultivate, where do we go from here? And I'm hopeful that similar to what happened with the art community, where we took a good, long, hard look at what was going on in arts in the city, in and around the city, and came up with a strategic plan. I'm hopeful that we could do similarly around the concept of healthcare and wellness, and really devote ourselves as to how to dig into something that, like I said, for a lot of people, it's a very scary topic. And, we oftentimes think that it's just the major healthcare system that is providing health and healthcare, and it has to be more than that, and it has to get outside of healthcare. And, again, where do businesses play a role is a critical point in this discussion, because, if people have healthy workers, they're going to come to work, right? If we have a healthy community, they may not have to take care of family members that are ill. And unfortunately, many people in our community are unfortunately primary caregivers for some of their family members. And, again, that hurts the business community where they're not available to work. And so it really affects the health and well-being of our community, may be the most important thing. And we see that in every aspect.
Now, I don't know that you would necessarily know whether this is going to branch out into a community discussion on healthcare, but I'm sure that's what you'd like to see.
Absolutely. I think that this is an opportunity for a group of people that do make huge changes for our community and really kind of set the tone as to the direction of what our city can look like. And I think that when we all look around, we realize that not just New Bedford, but every community is struggling with some of these issues, and we're no different in some of those aspects. But I really think that we have some people here that could really make a huge difference. And why doesn't a health revolution start in New Bedford? We're a community that, when you look back, lots of things started here first, right? We look back and as in throughout history, we were once the city that lit the rest of the world. We were once the hub of the industrial revolution in this country. And I think that if we look at what the major problems facing our country are, healthcare, well-being has to be really at the top of the list. And I would challenge our community all across the board that we could do this, and we could be a model for what other communities do.
Last time you were here, I think beginning of the year, you talked about you were beginning to start some new health initiatives involving young people. How is that going?
Yeah, it's been great. We're very fortunate over the last several months to include some new offerings at the Boys and Girls Club right now. We've extended yoga and mindfulness and meditation to some of the kids that are there. They've really taken to it. We've had to buy more yoga mats. Our instructor, Julie Paquette, has been really fantastic. Kids love her. And we've also extended Zumba to the kids and also to the parents. So we're trying to actually cultivate more community where we have, kind of a little interplay between the kids and their parents and be a space for where they can come to. And I tell you, the fitness challenge for over the last month has been phenomenal. We've seen an incredible number of people. This was the most number of people that signed up for the fitness challenge in New Bedford. I think we were well over 300. And we've seen quadrupling of the number of people that have been participating in our Sunday program. It's really been remarkable. We've had almost 75 people pretty consistently at the yoga offering that we have on Sundays. So we've seen lots of new faces as well.
And the youth programs are taking place at the Boys and Girls Club?
That's correct.
What days?
Right now, I think the yoga and mindfulness is on Tuesdays, and on Thursdays is the Zumba classes.
And the other programs, the so-called adult programs, take place Sunday morning.
The adult programs is Sunday, and we're still doing our walk with a doc. We're still at the mall every Saturday, 9 o'clock. I know you walked with us a few weeks ago.
That's
it was
right.
Great to see you there, and I will be actually leading this week's walk so I'll be there.
All right. My thanks to Dr. Michael Rocha and Dr. Michael Fine. They'll be taking part in the South Coast Chamber's Healthcare Forum. It's part of their breakfast series, March 21st, 7:30 a.m. at Rachel's Lakeside or on State Road in Dartmouth. Tickets, $35 for Chamber members, $45 for non-members. More information is available through the Chamber at southcoastchamber.com. Thank you again, Dr. Rocha.
Thank you, Jim, for having me on.
All right. Townsquare Sunday returns in just 1 minute.